Hi, and welcome to Dittmer Knittery. My name is Bev, and you will find my contact information and other information in the description box below. Thank you to everyone who's here, whether you are a new viewer, if this is your first time watching, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, a subscriber, I'm so glad to have you here today. Thank you for coming by. I hope if you like what you see that you will like, subscribe, watch some more videos, and come back. There's more to see. On my channel, I usually talk about yarn and yarn-related things, knitting, crocheting, felting, other fiber arts. So I hope you enjoy that. Things seem to have gone rather quickly with the handwork on the May Day bag project. Today, I have one more knitting finishing tip. It's one of my favorite stitches. I hear there are others who don't enjoy it so much, and it can be a little bit tricky. So I hope that my tips are helpful. Today I'm going to demonstrate the Kitchener stitch. And thank you to this wonderful camera on my phone, which is how I've taken all my videos. And I think it does a really good job. It gets overheated, it gets hot, and I have to take breaks. And that's after maybe 20 minutes of it taking videos, which is, not bad, and it is just a phone. But anyway, I have to take breaks to let it cool down. And sometimes that does actually make it take longer for me to get the videos done. But I have to give my phone camera a lot of credit for you being able to see this upcoming demonstration and other demonstrations I've done, because I really think the camera does a good job of showing what I'm doing. I think this demonstration turned out pretty well. Here is the bag. I've knitted on the machine. And it is very nearly ready for hot water. That is, it's almost ready to be felted. I've sewed up the side seams. I've created some garter stitches by hand around the top. I've inserted the strap through some stitches. I don't create any holes. I just push the strap through some stitches, and when it felts, it will create openings there for the strap to flow through, and it also helps felt the strap when it flows through there during felting. So we'll get to felting later, but I wanted you to see the bag, and so I'm going to then move in a little closer and show you some features and some very last finishing touches. I've folded the bag so I could show you some of its features a little more up close. Here's where we created these slopes by the increases and decreases on the machine. And see how that creates a nice curve to the bottom of the bag. And then after I felt it, while it's still wet, after it has shrank, I will shape it something like this. And that will help create kind of a little bit of a flat bottom on the bag. So it will dry like that with that fold, and then it will have a little bit of a bottom to the bag, give it a little bit more stability. This is the flap. I picked up stitches and knitted back and forth, created a garter stitch edge and a buttonhole, and made the flap. I showed you how I created the strap on the machine, and I just count stitches, lined it up, maybe put some markers in to decide where I'm going to insert that strap so it's even on both sides and flows through nicely. This is the inside of the bag. This is the pocket. I'm preparing to sew the pocket into the inside of the bag. So you see the wrong side of the fabric there. And I have used some thread yarn to mark where I would like to sew that pocket in. And I've clipped the pocket in place, stitched all around, just with a yarn needle and some yarn to mark where I would like to stitch that pocket in place. And I like to use these clips, and it just holds it in place better than a safety pin. Kind of works like a clothespin, but it's strong and little, and you can clip it very securely to the piece of fabric, just so that as I sew along, I know that I'm getting the pocket in approximately the right place. Again, perfection is not my desire. Just to get it good looking, to get it nice. That's the top of the pocket that won't be sewn to the bag. Some yarn ends to be sewn in. And once I have the pocket in, then I can continue with the rest of the work on the bag. Here I have the two ends of the strap that need to be joined. And I have live stitches on each end of the strap. I have the same number of stitches on each double-pointed needle on each end of the strap. And I'm going to use the Kitchener stitch to join these ends. And this is a stitch I very much enjoy. A lot of people don't like it. I do. And so I'm going to join these ends in that way. And I thought ahead a little bit. I'm not always this organized, but I thought ahead a little bit, and I left a length of yarn attached when I removed this piece from the machine. So I have the yarn I need to join these pieces and do the Kitchener stitch. And in fact, I have quite a bit too much yarn, and I'm going to cut off a little bit of it. The Kitchener stitch is a stitch that joins without creating a visible or noticeable seam on the inside or the outside. So it's often used to close the toes of socks, but it also works for many other applications. But you must have live stitches, and you must have the same number of stitches on each of the two pieces that you're going to join. And each stitch on the Kitchener join has 4 steps. And those steps are, you have before the 4 steps begin, you have your yarn threaded on a nice yarn needle. And like I said, my yarn is already attached here, but that's not necessary to have it be part of your work. You can attach your yarn right there, however you choose. And the 4 steps are to insert your needle on the needle closest to you. Insert your yarn needle on the knitting needle closest to you as if to knit. Pull the yarn through and drop that stitch off. Then on this same needle, on this same knitting needle, insert your yarn needle as if to purl and leave that stitch on. Then move to this, and of course you're pulling your yarn through and pulling it not completely taut, but pulling it 2. Then on this needle, this is step 3, insert your yarn needle as if to purl, pull the yarn through and drop that stitch off. Then step 4, insert your yarn needle as if to knit, pull the yarn through, leave that stitch on. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's do the 4 steps. I'm going to zoom in and see if I have a good angle and if you can see what I'm doing. This is the yarn end hanging here. I'm going to try to keep it tucked in out of the way. This little thing right there. So let's just tuck it out of the way. This is my working yarn. This is my needle, my yarn needle. I have checked to make sure my strap is not twisted, and I'm going to join the two ends of my camera on my phone got hot, and the camera just cut off. So if there's an awkward transition here, I hope you'll understand. So we're going to join these two pieces with Kitchener stitch. Step 1. Let's see if I move in, if you can still see or see better. Step 1, I'm going to insert my yarn needle in this stitch and pull the yarn through and drop that stitch off. And then I'm going to insert my yarn needle in the next stitch on that same knitting needle, the front knitting needle. Pull it through and leave that stitch on. That was a little piece of yarn that accidentally got over that needle. Now we're straight. Okay, next step, step 3. Insert my yarn needle as if to purl, pull the yarn through and drop that stitch off. Insert my yarn needle as if to knit, pull the yarn through and leave that stitch on. And so what had happened is my yarn had just gotten over that needle and I had to take it, to where it belonged. So one more time. And you can pull it a little bit taut. You don't want to pull it too tight. And as you move along, you'll be able to adjust that tension there. Insert my yarn needle as if to knit. Pull the yarn through, drop that stitch off. Insert my yarn needle as if to purl, pull the yarn through, and leave that stitch on. Insert my yarn needle as if to purl on the back needle, drop that stitch off. Insert my yarn needle as if to knit, pull the yarn through, leave that stitch on. And as you complete the 4 steps, you should then always have the same number of stitches on each of your needles until you've worked them all. Let's do this again. Insert the yarn needle as if to knit, pull the yarn through, drop that stitch off. Insert the yarn needle as if to purl, pull the yarn through, leave that stitch on. Insert the yarn needle as if to purl, drop that stitch off. Insert the yarn needle as if to knit, leave that stitch on. Okay, and now I'll count to 4. I keep saying there's 4 stitches, but I haven't really counted to 4 as I do them. 1, insert the yarn needle as if to knit, pull the yarn through, drop that stitch off. 2, insert the yarn needle as if to purl, pull the yarn through, leave that stitch on. Go to the back needle for step 3. Step 3, insert the yarn needle as if to purl, pull the yarn through, drop that stitch off. Step 4, insert the yarn needle as if to knit, pull the yarn through, leave that stitch there. Step 1, insert the yarn needle as if to knit, pull the yarn through, drop that stitch off. Step 2, insert the yarn needle as if to purl, pull the yarn through, leave that stitch there. On the back needle, step 3, insert the yarn needle as if to purl, drop that stitch off. Insert the yarn needle as if to knit, leave that stitch there. That was step 4. And see, we're creating a join, and you don't want it to be too tight. See, as I pull on it, it actually loosens it a little bit, And it looks like a good join. That's a Kitchener join that we're creating. And again, there's no reason to pull it too tight. You want it to retain as much stretch as it possibly can. So let's continue. I enjoy this stitch, and I hope this is helpful to see it. Step 1, insert the yarn needle on the front needle, on the front knitting needle. Step 1, insert the yarn needle as if to knit and drop that stitch off. Step 2, still on the front knitting needle, insert your yarn needle as if to purl, pull the yarn through, leave that stitch there. Step 3, on the back knitting needle with your yarn needle, insert the needle as if to purl, pull the yarn through, drop that stitch off. Step 4, on the back knitting needle with your yarn needle, insert the needle as if to knit, pull the yarn through, and leave that stitch there. And you'll see I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches on each of my double pointed knitting needles. Creating a very, very nice join there. It's going to look just like the rest of this strap does when it's all sewn together and felted and in use. It's unlikely you'll see this join. I just have 3 left, so I'm going to go ahead and complete them. 1, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and now with just 2 left, you've already inserted your yarn through these stitches, so they're secure, and you can just go ahead and do step 1 and step 3, and you're done. And you have a very nice clean join there that looks great on the outside and creates no bumps on the inside, which makes it, like I said, a great join for the toe of a sock, but it has many other applications. And that is our join. Doesn't that look great? The next time you see this bag, it will be ready for hot water felting. I hope you'll join me then. And I thought it might be a while before I got to that, but now that I have the bag all together, I'm going to go ahead and felt it really soon, sooner than I predicted. So keep watching. That'll be coming up. Meanwhile, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Be here and now. See things as they are. Peace, love, and I will see you again soon.